going on, everybody? It's Tuesday night. It's after Dana White's Contender Series, 10 o'clock Central Time. I think all you guys know what that means. It means it's time for Just the Tip with me, your host, Uncle Weezy. We have to break down the UFC Paris card that is coming up this September 3rd. There are 12 fights on this card. There is a banger of a heavyweight main event between Gane and Tuivasa. Can't wait for that fight. The co-main event is extremely high level with Robert Whittaker facing off against Marvin Vettori. Can't wait to talk about those two fights. And before that, we've got 10 other fights, which all have the potential to potentially make some money for us if we get on the right side of our betting tickets. So let's break down all these fights. Let's say hello to all you guys that are out there watching right now. And before we get into it, two quick things. First, last week, but the week before, actually, at this point now, it was 9 days ago. I think we were up like three units, I think. Was it? Or maybe it was less than that. I even forgot at this point, but I know we cashed Marcin Tybura for 3.5 units. We lost on Leo Santos for 1 unit, and we lost on the fight doesn't go to decision for Leo Santos. So I think maybe it was a little over 1 unit, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, we made out all right. I stayed small. Cashed the Tybura underdog bet. That was huge. So other than that, just happy to be on a 3 or 4 event winning streak right now. Moving forward, we only have 3 weeks to go until we get another 1 week break. So let's really focus. Let's really get our work in, and let's try to get some money from these bookies so that we can go into that break week smiling and ready to relax a little bit. The second thing is, it is August 30th. 2 days from now will be the 1st of September. Great time to sign up for your Uncle Weezy's Patreon. $5 a month gets you the stats that you always see here on Just the Tip, that you see on Stat Diggers, that you see on Ask Weezy every Wednesday night. And if you want to do the $20 a month, that gives you access to the prop template, which you guys see on Probability on the MMA Engine YouTube channel every Monday. Great way to support me, support the channel, support the work that I do. The stats will always be available for free in the description of the video for Just the Tip every week, whether you're on the Patreon or not. But if you are on the Patreon, you get access to it almost a week early, because I'll be putting out next week's stats either very late night tonight or tomorrow. So the $5 a month plan, the $20 a month plan, please consider signing up for that on the 1st of the month to support the channel. I appreciate all 34 of you that are watching right now. Let's see what's going on here in the comments. The first one in the room today was my guy Chris Colanza saying, best MMA show. Let's go, Uncle Weezy. What's up, Chris? Good to see you, brother. We got Rob Lawrence saying, oi, wish I could stay Weezy in chat later days. Got it, man. Thanks for coming by and saying hi, Rob. I truly appreciate you, brother. We got my guy Mushroom in the room saying, oi, yes. Let's stack these tickets higher than the Eiffel Tower. Let's go. That is a perfect reference for UFC Paris Fight Week, my man. Josh Lazar saying, greetings, everyone. We got Bob Spikerman saying, thanks, Uncle Weezy. You are the man. And checking in all the way from the Netherlands is Bob Spikerman. Thanks for hanging out, my man. I appreciate you. We got Victor DeJesus saying, oi, yes. What's up, Weezy? What's up, chat? Let's make that moolah this week. Victor, I'm going to be going Thursday to buy some of that Adictivo tequila that you got for me last week, my man. I truly appreciate you. I'm going to take a picture of myself with that, and I will be making habanero palomas with that, because now I'm doing this pink grapefruit juice with a habanero simple syrup to kind of spice up any margarita or any paloma that you might have. A little bit of Adictivo tequila, a little bit of that habanero grapefruit juice. We're going to be having some good palomas with that, man. I appreciate you for hanging out, brother. Good to see you in here. We got my guy Patrick in here, Addicted to Combat, saying cigar is lit. Let's talk fights. What's up, Unc? What's up, chat? We got Justin in the room saying best of time of the year is here for one who gets to do only fantasy in Cali legally. I got fantasy football, MMA, fantasy college football, fantasy Selma Hayek fantasy. All the fantasies are here. Yeah, man. I know that I'm gonna I'm going to need a lot of you to sign up on my Patreon to pay for my fantasy football losses that will be coming for me this year, because I've spent all my time breaking down MMA. I am going to get waxed in my fantasy football leagues this year, you guys. It's not going to be pretty. You guys should all be begging me to join your league because it'll be an absolute donation. But I'm hoping that after I'm done with content on Wednesday, I can do enough research to put together some decent teams that have a little bit of a chance of maybe getting into the playoffs this year. But my hopes are not high, everybody. We got Gogo Flamingo in the room saying, flapjack time, peeps. Let's get some. What's up, Gogo? Good to see you in here, brother. Andy G saying, oi, let's go, Uncle Weezy. Solid card. Let's cash this weekend. By the way, if anyone faded Yanni the Greeks plays on DWCS, you made some serious money. Really, I didn't watch DWCS today. I'm going to watch it very, very late night tonight after I'm done finishing up next week's stats, getting them out to my Patreon members, after I'm done putting timestamps on this video, and I even have a couple of other errands to run as well. So it's going to be a very busy late night for me tonight. But I can't believe Yanni the Greek still isn't cashing any of these parlays or even hitting some bets, man. I mean, he's so cold that it's almost impossible to be that cold. I mean, like, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. And I know he's an analytics guy. So it's really, really rare for somebody to go on that long of a streak, man. I hope Yanni gets it together at some point. But if it, I was preparing for the show, and man, my guy Martian MMA dude, at UFO UFC, he's been putting out these parlays where the fade Yanni parlay, and he's been cashing these things like crazy. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh, dude, that's cold blooded. And of course, he cashed it. And then he probably cashed another big one today, man. I mean, everybody that's been fading Yanni on Contender Series is getting rich, and it's wild, man. He's gonna fucking sweep one of these nights. He's absolutely has to. It's gotta happen. Nobody can be that cold for that long, man. And Jeff K saying, "Oi!" And Justin saying, "Anyone doing an all France parlay?" I am not, but it's not a bad idea, man. You could throw Gane in there. You could throw Imavov in there. You could throw Benoit Saint-Denis in there. If you like Gomis to win, if you like, who else do we have from France that's fighting? Ziam. Jourdain speaks French, but he's Canadian. Makdessi hack press. No. Jadisharico. No, that's about it. Just Gane. Gomis, Imavov, Saint-Denis, and it probably cashes. Ziam is the plus money side that probably doesn't cash, but he could win. And that would be not a bad idea, Justin. That's not a bad idea. We got RC Masiak saying tight Tuivasa money. Dude, that'd be something if he got that win, man. He would piss a lot of people off. You could probably hear a pin drop in that audience, man, if Gane gets dropped. I don't think anybody is expecting that, but if it happens, that'll be something else. Mushroom saying, what's up to Victor de Jesus? We got my guy DFS by the numbers in the room saying, oi, yes. We got Justin saying, I hear the French fighters, if they lose in France, as a dishonor, not allowed to smoke cigarettes or anyone in your household anymore in your household. I don't think too many of these guys smoke, but man, they love their cigarettes in France. That is for sure. Papa Chuck saying, slap my ass and call me Papa Chuck. Let's whip up some batter and heat up the skillet. We got some flapjacks to cook. Let's go, Papa Chuck. Good to see you in here. We got RC saying Vittori win. That would be something, man. A lot of people are on Whitaker this week. But, when I break it down, there's a path for him. But he's gonna have to time some really good takedowns and try to get Whitaker to the ground and mix in that wrestling enough that he can win some minutes on the feet as well. It's going to be a great high-level fight. Can't wait for that one. We got Mushroom saying, what's up to Brady? We got Papa Chuck saying, how are all my D-gens? We're doing great, brother. We got Mariano Hernandez saying, oi, let's go, Unk. Chi-Town, stand up. Let's cash and dash. Flapjack time. Mariano, thanks for joining us. Always good to see a local Chicagoan in the room here with their Uncle Weezy. I appreciate you, man. Avondale says, what's up to Mariano Hernandez? We got Sicky Does MMA saying yes. We got Mushroom saying Jourdain round 3, Gane round 3. There's a fat line on Charles Jourdain sub round 3 plus 5,000. I might be tracking that bet. We got Bananas and Grapes in the room. What's up, man? We got Nigel Lee saying, what's up, gentlemen of leisure? We got Victor, Mushroom, The Flex, Zero Mieto saying, let's make some damn money, Weezy. I've been on a Clint-like streak. Dude, it happens to everybody, dude. I was just on a 5-event losing streak. I think like 7 or 8 events ago was when it ended. And god damn, I mean, it just sometimes it feels like you'll never cash another bet again. But you know what's very important is that the process, you don't change the process. If you're sticking to the process and losing, that's fine. You're gonna come out of it eventually, but it's tough to get out of these streaks. But we're gonna do our best to give you the best spots we can this week so we can turn this thing around, circle the wagons, and get this back on a winning streak for you, my man. Justin Villegas saying, Bobby Knuckles, let's go. We got Aya Love saying, oi, finally caught alive. Let's go. Thanks for joining us live, Aya Love. I appreciate you. And we got Papa Chuck saying, how's the vape treating you? To Mushroom saying, nice, thanks. We got Breezy978 saying, oi, Weezy, you the man. Thanks for joining us, Breezy. We got Dope Space Cowboy saying, just cashed a Contender Series parlay. I bet every fight except the chicks to not go the distance. Congratulations. I haven't seen any of it yet. I'm not going to even probably be able to watch it till tomorrow. Santos burned tickets. Stupid. Dude, I bet Santos, RC, last week. If you're talking about Leo Santos, man, I felt like a moron. He looked horrible, dude. He didn't even look like he wanted to be there. He didn't even look like he was trying. And I just, yeah, I burned a ticket on the fight doesn't go to decision for that one, and I've burned a ticket on Santos to win. So rough one for me there, man. But yeah, man, that was not a good bet by me. My guy Jarno Portilla in the room, Mr. Finland saying, Weezy, let's go. And Jarno brought up in my Discord today that, this is the first guy that has ever shared his first name that's fighting in the UFC. The guy is making his debut this week. Jarno Errens, hailing from the Netherlands, is going to be fighting against William Gomis. So we got the first ever Jarno stepping into the cage and carrying on his shoulders every other person named Jarno on the planet, looking for a victory. Let's go, Jarno. Good to see you in here, my man. Glenbot 5000 in the room. What's up, dude? It's good to see you in here. We got Mushroom saying, Nigel Lee. What's up, Nigel? We got Glenbot checking in from Ireland at 4 a.m. My God, that is commitment, Glenbot. Thank you for joining us. Prince of Mischief 2225 saying, oi, yes, ass shaving prediction, Magomedov. We'll see how that goes, Prince of Mischief. We'll see how that goes, man. Saying what's up to Glenbot. Everybody's saying what's up to everybody because we got a great community of listeners here on the Just the Tip every Tuesday night. Man, we got, yeah, that's right, man. Glenbot refuses to sleep until the tip is in, baby. Oh, man. And Ice Viking saying, what's up, Uncle Weezy? Appreciate you as always. Yeah, and Nigel Lee saying that Andy G's been getting his ass shaved every week on DWCS. He doesn't watch tape. That's the problem. And yeah, when you're a pure analytics guy, you don't watch tape. And in MMA, man, especially with the smaller sample sizes and the higher variance fights that you're going to get on DWCS because the fighters are less experienced and because you have less of a statistical set of data to draw from, it makes it difficult to be a data-driven, better on DWCS. You got to do that tape study, man. Siki saying 3-1 on DWCS, faded him all night, and that one I bet him with him lost. My God, 3.7 unit though. That's a good night, man. The one bet I lost was with the Greek, 3-1. Oh my God, yeah, he's had a rough run. French Canadian count, just one. The French Canadian is Jourdain. Man, I like him this week too, man. So yeah, you could throw him in there if you want to do a French Canadian along with the rest of the Frenchmen in there, and then you could say Perez is not really a French name, so we won't throw him in there, But I wouldn't parlay Perez at plus money, but I think he's live in that fight. Blood Money in the room saying, oi, what's up, Weezy? Great show as always. I appreciate you for checking in. Tyler Rose saying, Weezy, I really want to hammer Figlak and Saint-Denis parlay plus 114. What do you think? So I already parlayed Saint-Denis in my greasy four-legger that I gave out on my channel yesterday. So I parlayed the greasy four-legger for this week is Benoit Saint-Denis money line. Abusupiyan Magomedov's money line, Robert Whittaker by decision, and Cyril Gane 4-5 decision on FanDuel, which came out to plus 800 for me. It'll come out to something similar to that right now. But I like that. I think Figlak does win this fight, but I think it's going to be kind of close. But I think Figlak might even have a chance to finish Ziam. I love the pressure that he brings. And when we saw Luigi Vendramini pressure Ziam, we saw Ziam not deal with that very well. So I do like that parlay at plus money. I think it's pretty good, man. I think it probably cashes, Tyler. Prince of Mischief saying, yeah, it's bad if you faded Yanni. The odds were plus 1,000. 1 unit to win 10. Oh, my God, man. Unbelievable. Glimbot saying, Nigel, I finally got the over 1.5 lines and I wanted so 8 units on those 3, and it came out at 2.08. So I believe, is that 2.08 to 1, or is it 1, or is it like plus 108? I always forget how that works, but probably plus 208. Yeah, that I know those max bet laws that you have, Glinbot, are really, really interesting, and I might have to start tailing you on that. Roshwan Yi saying Nazi Hakparas lock of the month. Decent odds, you think, for money line only? Man, I think it's actually a little wide, Roshwan. We'll talk about that fight, obviously, but I've got all these fights written up. And if you guys want, I can make my show notes available for you guys as well. I already put them out in my Patreon. It's something that, it's like 20 pages, but like it could help you because I do break it down with every category that we have. So it's something else, if you want them, let me know in the chat. Andy G saying Yanni went 0-6 tonight. He's open to 0-10. Oh my God, man. That is just unbelievable. Josh saying distance in the Whittaker Vittori fight. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that one absolutely goes the distance. Till tonight. Yeah, we got Yanni ain't trying to make you money like Uncle Weezy, man. Show me the Yanni is showing me the torn up tickets this year so far. Like I say, I hope he gets hot because it's getting a little ridiculous how bad of a streak he's on. It'd be nice to see him break out and have a go. You don't root for anybody to lose, unless you just really hate that person. And I mean, I don't hate Yanni the Greek at all. So I'm rooting for him to come back. Same game parlay on DK. Gane over 1.5 is minus 125. Wow. Kind of like that, dude. Let's see. Am I missing one? Yeah. Jourdain, Whittaker, not front. Yeah. RC, Uncle Weezy, no worries about Santos. We really thought the same. Santos took some sleepy pills. Can't wait for Dillashaw versus Sterling. Yeah, that's going to be a hell of a fight. Yeah, and Santos is 42 years old. So, I bet on him, but, you go into it with your eyes open, knowing that you're betting on a 42-year-old. You don't get out over your skis too much. It was 1 unit. And it was big plus money. It was plus 260. So, you go in thinking, you're not going to win this bet every time. But still, man, I felt pretty bad about that one because Santos just did not look like himself. DeSharico turning into thy backpack. Ooh, that'd be interesting to see him do that, man. Are you spiking saying I jumped on Whittaker by decision at plus 105 and it moved to minus 120 overnight? I got it at plus 100 in my 4-legger ice Viking. What's up? Cleaned up on a DWCS, hit a 3-leg parlay. Nick Lee, way to go, my man. Let's go. Glenbot saying, Nigel, I got wood, but I wouldn't fault anyone for going Charles. We got Metalinka saying, oi. RC Missiak saying, Magomedov KO, most confident for the Paris card. Nice. I appreciate the insights, says Tyler. You got it, man. Plus 108. Okay, got it, Glenbot. Thank you. I always forget, Weezy, what's your rule for parlays? 4-legger is max. I don't track 4-leg parlays, Gunner, but yeah, that's the max that I do. That's thanks to my guy Hammer and Hog. When I first started doing shows on YouTube, he would always ask me for a greasy 4-leg parlay. So it was just something I started doing for him every week, and then it became a habit. But like when I'm tracking parlays, 2 legs max. And I do have one track parlay this week that does have 2 legs. I'll show you guys that when we do our track bets after all these fights. But you guys, let's get into it. But before we have to bring up I'm going to have a sip of water while you get to enjoy Mushroom's genius. Chef's kiss, Mushroom. It's absolutely beautiful. Oh, man. And Hack Perez coming off a nasty hand injury. I did not know that. Thank you, Sicky. And for UFC pairs, I'm feeling this parlay. D. Chirico at -115. Miranda Gabriel. Gabriel Miranda plus 205. Cristian Quinonez even. And Nathaniel Wood plus 111. Robert Whitaker -238. What does everyone think? Yeah, let Nick know what you're thinking there. And ring a ding ding. We got the first donation of the show from my guy Glenn Bott saying over 1.5. Wood, Bobby, Nasrat, 9 of their last 10. So there we go, man. So we're going to do the over 1.5 in the Jourdain Wood fight, in the Bobby Knuckles fight, and in the Nasrat Hack Press versus I love it. I love it. I'm gonna do that with you, my man. Weezy, you liked under 2.5 on Jourdain. You still like that. As a matter of fact, I liked the fight starts round 3 for Jourdain. That's what I liked. For the under 2.5, I wouldn't bet that, because I think maybe fight ends in round 3 would be the way to do it if it is going to end. But I like the fight starts round 3 at -176 on FanDuel right now. The prop template absolutely loves that one. And let me show you that real quick here, you guys, on my screen as I put up the prop template here. And this is the Jourdain Wood fight. And if we zoom in 150%, we can see here for the non-violence betting lines, the fight starts round 3 at -176, has a 63.77% implied probability. We're getting a 2.43% break, an 11.23% break, and an 8.8% break. When we compare the long-term fight starts round 3 benchmark to the implied probability of the line, when we compare how many times these guys have went to round 3 in their UFC careers compared to the implied probability of the line, and how much they go to round 3 comparison to the rest of the division, all 3 of them are going over the average. So it's a trifecta bet. The fight starts round 3 -176 is my favorite time prop bet for the Jourdain Wood fight. And let's get started, though, you guys. I apologize. I'm falling behind here. We're already 22 and a half minutes in, and we still have to break down 12 fights. So let's go, man. We got the Mac of the Flapjack Stack, Uncle Weezy, about to break down all these fights with you guys. And let's start with the curtain jerker. Ailin Perez versus Stephanie Egger. Ailin Perez is making her debut. She is a plus 225 underdog to the short notice replacement for Zara Dos Santos. That's going to be Stephanie Egger, -265. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at -140. So let me get my notes up here, and we will get to breaking down this fight. Now, you can see that Ailin Perez is 7 years younger than Stephanie Egger. But Stephanie's going to be taller. I don't have a reach number yet for Ailin, but I'm assuming she's going to be longer, but that's just an assumption, just a guess. Don't have any evidence for that. So we've got the experience advantage is going to Stephanie Egger here. As you can see that she's got about the same amount of cage time as Ailin Perez, but it's Egger who has 2 more pro fights, 3 more years as a pro, and she's got 4 more fights at the UFC level and almost 30 more minutes in the UFC cage as Perez is making her debut. When it comes to the finish stats and the durability, I got it even. Egger's got the better finish rate as a pro. It's 86% to 71% for Ailin Perez. And Egger has 3 knockouts and 3 submissions, while Perez has 4 knockouts and a sub. So I'd say Egger is like the more versatile finisher, while Perez is a little more knockout dependent. Perez has never been finished, while Egger is coming off a first-round armbar loss against Mayra Bueno Silva just a few weeks ago. So she's making a really quick turnaround here because the fight never really even got going with Mayra Bueno Silva, and she claims she didn't tap to that, and I tend to believe her simply because I didn't see her tap. So very interesting way for that fight to end, although I think maybe if she didn't tap, MBS might have broken her arm, but that's just all speculation at this point, though. So the striking advantage I'm going to give to Perez here, but neither one of these ladies is known for their striking. We don't have any stats, obviously, for Ailin Perez yet, but in the tape I've seen of both fighters, I'd say Perez is the better striker. She's mean, you guys. She's mean as fuck. She throws with power. She doesn't get tired. Egger is a judoka, so her striking experience is limited, and she prefers to strike with her ground and pound, which is excellent, but her stand-up leaves a lot to be desired. So I think that while they're on the feet, while they're at distance, I think Ailin Perez will be more likely to win minutes, but, it's hard to know. This is a big-time show-me spot for Perez here. The grappling advantage, though, of course, that goes to Stephanie Egger, and she's got the high-level judo background. She's finished both of her UFC wins, one via ground and pound, the other via submission. She's got great wrestling, or Perez has great wrestling. She's got really good top control and ground and pound, though. And we saw Egger struggle with that against a 125er on Tracy Cortez. So if Perez's wrestling and top control translates at the UFC level, she will have success winning minutes in the grappling. That being said, it's a big-time show-me spot. She's bigger. She has better wrestling, but obviously Egger has the better judo, and her clinch game is something that Perez is going to need to avoid if she doesn't want to wind up on the bottom here. The strength of schedule, that's Egger for sure. She's got 4 UFC fights. She's obviously fought the much better competition, as Perez has been stomping, seamstresses, cashiers. I believe Brady said one was a lawyer, one was a dentist. We had an Uber driver and a maid. So this is a huge step up in competition for Ailin Perez. So I'm going to give Egger the experience advantage, the grappling advantage, the strength of schedule advantage. While Ailin Perez is younger, the natural 145-pounder, I think. She was scheduled to take this fight at 145. She's fought there before, but most of these ladies' combined career fights have taken place at 135. So I think Egger has a chance to win this fight if she stays in the clinch and gets on top of Perez. But if this stays at range, or if Egger gets taken down a couple of times and Perez can avoid the submission attempts, I could absolutely see Perez getting the upset here. And I've got a bet on Ailin Perez here, a 1-unit bet at plus 275 that I got earlier in the week, simply because I thought the line was wide. Stephanie Egger's taking this fight on short notice, coming off of a loss that just happened less than 2 months ago. And Ailin Perez, even though she's fought nobody of any substance yet, I haven't seen her lose a minute of any of her fights. She's absolutely been dominant. So sometimes we see the name that comes to mind most recently for me is Joe Benavidez. What's her name? Josiane Nunez, who's actually Joe Benavidez. Benavidez was fighting these soccer moms on the regional scene and, stomping them. But you're like, man, once Benavidez gets up to this level, he's not going to be able to destroy these women like that. Well, look what he's done. He knocked out Bea Malecki, and we haven't seen Bea Malecki since. And then she also got a win up at 145. I forget was it Pasquale she beat? Either way, she's 2-0, and she's actually looked really good. So we could see Ailin Perez, take the next step here and take it with some class, and potentially she could win this fight. But look, Egger's got a lot of places where she's just going to be a lot better. And if Ailin is smart, she's going to avoid Stephanie's clinch, because that's going to be Stephanie's best chance to get Ailin on her ass. And once she gets put there, it's going to be very hard for her to get up and avoid submission. So the pick is going to be Stephanie Egger by decision, but I've got that bet on Ailin Perez, and I think that she could potentially make that plus 275 ticket look really good going into that decision if this winds up being a close fight. So pick is Egger, but the bet at plus 275 for 1 unit is on Ailin Perez. The next fight, Khalid Taha versus Cristian Quinonez. Very interesting fight. We got Taha, a small favorite at minus 122. Quinonez at plus 102 is the underdog, taking the fight on short notice. Khalid Taha was supposed to be fighting Taylor Lapilus, and Cristian stepped in probably on about a week's notice here. And Cristian fights out of Tijuana, Mexico. So this is going to be a very long flight for Cristian Quinonez. From Tijuana to Paris on less than a week's notice is something that we have to talk about narrative-wise here. The fight doesn't go to decision, is sitting at plus 120. Let me just see in here real quick. Okay, fantastic. Oh, geez, I left Josh's comment up on the screen. I hope you didn't miss stats because of that. My bad, you guys. But let's go to this next one, the Taha Quinonez fight. Now, the measurables advantage is going to Quinonez in this fight, big time, right? He's 4 years younger. He's 2 inches taller. He's got a 1 inch reach advantage. Both guys are orthodox fighter, but Quinonez is taking this fight on less than 2 weeks' notice, flying all the way from the happiest place on earth to Paris. So we have to keep that in mind. The pro experience, or I should say the UFC experience edge is going to Khalid Taha. But actually, these guys have similar experience numbers overall. Cristian slightly more experience with 2 more pro fights, 50 more minutes in the pro cage. But it's Khalid who has been a pro for over 3 more months, who has 4 more fights at the UFC level and over 40 more minutes in the UFC cage. And when it comes to the finish stats and the durability here, I got to give that advantage to Taha. Now, we can see here that Khalid has the better finish rate overall. 84% for Khalid Taha in his wins, 71% for Cristian Quinonez in his wins. And Khalid has finished his only UFC win while Cristian won by decision. Khalid also had a finish overturned for a failed drug test. Now, shout out to my guy Patrick, Addicted to Combat, always talks about what fighters were caught with and what the implications of that were. And this was news to me. I really didn't know this because you look at Taha and it looks like he's on the juice. The guy's just busting out of his skin with muscle. But according to Patrick, Khalid, what he got caught with was a diuretic, and he had an eye problem, and he was prescribed the diuretic by his physician in order to reduce the swelling in his eye, I guess. And he didn't know that it was a banned diuretic. So if Khalid's story is true that he was, prescribed that, then potentially he might not have juiced, that he might not have. Diuretics aren't exactly performance enhancing drugs. What they do is they help you cut weight. They help you lose water weight. So that's interesting. I just thought that was interesting because I just assumed when Taha got that fight overturned that he was using, steroids, competition steroids to get an advantage, but that not necessarily the case in this one. Now, the durability advantage goes to Khalid Taha. This guy has no quit in him. When we saw that Hani Barcelos fight, and Barcelos put him through hell, and he never once looked for the door and kept fighting the whole time. So I like the finish only prop for Khalid Taha on this fight simply because Khalid's never been finished, or he has been finished once by submission in his career, but it was pre-UFC. But Quinonez is more of a knockout artist, and Quinonez has been finished in all 3 of his pro losses. So definitely the durability advantage seriously goes to Taha here. And Quinonez is taking the fight on short notice, flying something like 10 time zones all the way to Paris from Tijuana. So that's a bad situation here. I think that that finish only prop is looking pretty good. The striking advantage I'm giving to Taha. I do think it's possible Quinonez can win minutes in the striking exchanges. He's bigger, he's longer, he's got decent boxing. However, when you stand with Taha, you risk Khalid landing a big bomb. Taha is 1-0-1 in the UFC when he lands a knockdown, and 0-3 when he doesn't. So he is a guy who really does rely on his power, land one big shot, change the direction of the fight, and use that moment win in order to get a knockout or to win enough minutes to get a decision. Now, he's 0-3 when he doesn't land a knockdown. So in the fights where Khalid didn't land a knockdown, he spent 45% of his cage time in those bouts being controlled by his opponents. The stand-up should be close, but Taha should be the moment winner in the stand-up here. And we could see it. Both of these guys do have a knockdown. But it's 1 knockdown per 15 minutes for Quinonez, but 0.51 for Taha. But don't forget, this is 1 fight for Quinonez. Khalid has 5 fights, and he's gotten 2 knockdowns. And he's never been knocked down. Neither one of these guys ever has. In the grappling, I'm going to give the advantage to Quinonez. It's clear that the way to beat Khalid Taha is to take him down and grind him out. Barcelos beat him everywhere, but Morozov and Narimani beat him with wrestling and top control. And that avenue still remains open for Quinonez, who in his regional scene footage does wrestle quite a bit. So if he doesn't like how it's going on the feet, he could try to wrestle here to win minutes and make Taha work to get back to his feet. But once again, taking the fight on short notice, that's a big deal, because if you're really counting on somebody to be able to wrestle in order to win minutes, you don't want to hear that that guy, A, is going to be 10 hours away from his time zone, B, that he took the fight on less than 2 weeks' notice. And, so that in order to be able to push that wrestling heavy game plan, it really helps that you have a full camp behind you. And Cristian Quinonez does not have that right now. But I do know they've been trying to get Quinonez a fight recently. I think that he was scheduled for a fight recently. Let me actually look at that. Because, oh, come on, Contender Series, you fuckers. UFC. And I think Quinonez was just scheduled to fight a week or two ago, and he was going to replace somebody else. Let me just see if that's the case. Yeah, he was supposed to fight Yusuf Zalal on August 13th. And that was canceled because of Quinonez's visa issues. So he's been getting ready for a fight. So it's not absolutely just out of the blue that the phone rang for him here. But like I said, it does matter that he has to make that trip. And then when the strength of schedule, we talk about that here. I'm going to give the advantage to Khalid Taha, obviously, as he's fought 5 fights at the UFC level. He's fought, beaten, and lost to the better win-loss ratio competition and the more experienced opponents. So Khalid has the UFC experience advantage, the finish stats and durability advantages, the striking and strength of schedule going for him, while Quinonez has the measurables, the slight overall experience edge, and the grappling advantages here if he chooses to wrestle. This is a close fight, but Quinonez is taking the fight on short notice, and he's fighting a more experienced guy with a ton of power, and Quinonez has been finished a lot. So I do think Khalid Taha wins this fight, and I think his most likely path is to win it inside the distance with a knockout, or a knockout that are a club and sub type of situation. But I'm picking Khalid Taha to win this one, and I'm picking him to win it inside the distance, you guys. So the next fight is going to be Benoit Saint-Denis versus Gabriel Miranda. And let's see, we got Saint-Denis a pretty big favorite here at minus 275. Gabriel Miranda plus 235 underdog. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 240 here. So we can see here that the measurables advantage is going to go to Benoit Saint-Denis, as he's almost 6 years younger. He has a 1-inch reach advantage, and Benoit is a southpaw, while Miranda is an orthodox fighter. The experience advantage goes to Miranda overall, but the UFC experience advantage goes to Benoit Saint-Denis. Gabriel's got 10 more pro fights, as we can see right here. He's got 40 more minutes in the pro cage, and he's got 6 more years as a pro fighter. However, Saint-Denis has the UFC experience advantage with 2 more fights at the UFC level and 20 minutes in the UFC cage more than Miranda, because Miranda's making his debut on short notice, flying, I believe, from Florida to Perez, which isn't nearly as bad of a flight as it's going to be for Quinonez. The finish stats and durability I have even here. Both of these guys have a 100% finish rate in their combined 25 pro wins. Both fighters are extremely durable, as Miranda's only been finished once in 5 pro losses, and Saint-Denis' toughness and heartness Saint-Denis' toughness and heart are unquestioned after his UFC debut against Dos Santos, as that was an absolute beating that he took. The striking I have is even here. I mean, I think Benoit Saint-Denis is probably the better striker, because you can watch all the footage that you want on Gabriel Miranda. You're never going to see the guy strike. He's always grappling. All of his wins are by submission except for one. The guy is just a pure grappler, and he will probably be in the striking exchanges for about 3 seconds of this fight. So neither guy is going to be known for their striking. Maybe Saint-Denis wins some minutes on the feet, but it's probably not likely that they even spend 60 minutes striking at range. The grappling advantage, both of these guys are excellent grapplers. I'm going to give the advantage to Saint-Denis because both guys pretty much rely on their grappling and submissions to win fights. But I do think Saint-Denis is the better UFC level grappler here, as he does wrestle more than Miranda, and he's fought the much better brand of competition thus far in his career, despite Miranda having more fights. The strength of schedule goes to Saint-Denis as well. Even on the regional scene, Benoit has fought and beaten the better brand of competition. And of course, he's fought 2 UFC level guys. While Gabriel Miranda, I mean, we do need to talk about Miranda's strength of schedule because it's not great, you guys. The guy has not, I mean, if we were to look for a signature win for Gabriel Miranda, we might have a hard time finding one here. Diego Sequeira 5-5, Jefferson Moraes 3-1, John Zarate 8-7, Fernando Noriega 5-1 in Brave. That's probably his best win because then it's 0-0, 5-0 on the regional scene, 5-0 in Face the Danger, which is an organization that's known for setting up one-way fights, for padding records. Losses to real fighters in Wagner Rocha and Hiroki Nagaoka. Win over William Lima, who's 6-0, so that's not bad. But then 0-8, 2-1, 1-3, 0-7, 0-0, 1-3, 0-2, 0-1 are the wins. So, yeah, the signature win, maybe William Lima back in 2015, maybe Fernando Noriega in Brave in 2018. The win over John Zarate, I mean, the guy's 8-7, and I think he took that fight on short notice. Yeah, this guy's fought very low-level competition in comparison to Saint-Denis, who fought in Brave and beat guys that weren't 8-7, beat guys like 6-2, 15-4, 13-4. Ivica Trusek has over 70 pro fights, and he won that one. 9-5, 7-1, 2-0. So he's just fought the better brand of competition here. So Saint-Denis got the measurables advantage, the UFC experience, the grappling, the strength of schedule advantages, while Miranda has the overall experience advantage. I don't like that Miranda's taking this fight on short notice and having to make this long flight to fight Benoit in front of his home crowd. I think Benoit's grappling is a notch above Gabriel's, and that for me is enough to be confident picking him to win this fight. But what I did do was I put a 1/8 of a unit tracked bet on Gabriel Miranda to win by first round submission at plus 1,600. So it's 1/8 of a unit to win 2. It's just an easy bet. This guy is a very dangerous grappler for the first 5 minutes, maybe for the first 3 minutes. But Benoit, could get caught in a guillotine. He could get caught in an armbar here. While they're both dry and while the fight is going on for the first 2.5, 3 minutes, and especially because Miranda's taking this fight on short notice, you could see him just go balls out for a submission and then look for the door if he doesn't get it. So I did bet Benoit Saint-Denis money line and put it in the greasy 4-leg parlay, but I also just threw this small track bet on Miranda by first round sub to hedge off of that and put a very small amount of money on 1/8 of a unit to hopefully hit 2 if this thing does go tits up and Benoit Saint-Denis gets caught in the first round. But the pick is going to be Benoit Saint-Denis by late first round or second round submission. The next fight is going to be Nassourdine Imavov versus Joaquin Buckley. I mean, my God, what a banger this is. I don't know why this isn't on the main card, you guys. If it were up to me, it absolutely would be on the main card because this is a fantastic fan-friendly fight, and I can't wait for this one. We got Imavov sitting at minus 260. We got Joaquin Buckley sitting at plus 220, and the fight doesn't go to decision, juiced up at minus 190 right now. So when it comes to the measurables advantage here, I've got it even. Imavov is 1 year younger and 4 inches taller than Joaquin, but Joaquin Buckley's got the 1-inch reach advantage, and he's a southpaw. The experience advantage goes to Buckley. Joaquin's got 5 more pro fights. He's got 40 more minutes in the pro cage, and he's got 1.5 more years as a pro fighter. In addition to that, he also has the UFC experience advantage with 3 more UFC fights and 15 more minutes in the UFC cage, as we can see right there. And then in the finish stats and the durability, I'm giving the advantage to Imavov, as Nassourdine has the better finish rate as a pro. 81% for Nassourdine, 73% for Buckley. And he's the more versatile finisher, as all of Buckley's wins are by knockout, while Imavov has 4 submissions and 5 knockouts. Buckley's got the better UFC finish rate, though, as he's finished 80% of his UFC wins, while Imavov has finished 67%. Imavov also has the durability edge, as he's never been knocked out as a pro, while Buckley has been KO'd in 3 of 4 pro losses and in both of his UFC losses. Buckley's been finished in 3 of 4 pro losses at 75%, while Imavov has been subbed in 1 of 3 pro losses, so that's 33%. The striking advantage I'm giving to Imavov here. Imavov is so smooth at range. He's really fun to watch. His nickname is the Sniper, and it's apt. The guy is very accurate. He comes from strange angles, and when he hits, it hurts. He is susceptible to the low leg kick, but other than that, Imavov is very hard to hit. He keeps his hands low. His punches come from odd angles. They hurt. Imavov has the superior significant strike differential. It's plus 2.06 for Imavov. It's only plus 0.32 for Joaquin Buckley. He's got the better striking accuracy, 57% for Imavov, 35% for Buckley. And Imavov's striking defense is just a tick better than Buckley's as well. The biggest difference here, though, is going to be the power. Buckley has landed 6 knockdowns in his 7 UFC fights, and Imavov has landed 0. Buckley's 1.44 knockdowns per 15 minutes and over 2.5% knockdowns per total significant strikes landed are very impressive. However, Imavov is very durable, and he's never been knocked down, while Buckley's been knocked down 3 times in 7 UFC fights, and he's absorbing 0.72 knockdowns per 15 minutes. Buckley is very power dependent, as he has landed a knockdown in 4 of his 5 UFC wins. Imavov should be the minute winner on the feet, while Buckley will be more likely to win moments, but Imavov has really good power as well. The grappling advantage I'm giving to Imavov. The grappling is going to be close. Neither guy wrestles a ton, and we could see Imavov 2 of 10 on takedowns in 4 fights, and Buckley 7 of 20. Imavov has the edge on control time. 21% for Imavov, only 11% for Joaquin Buckley. Imavov's efficiency has been better than Buckley's thus far. Imavov's opponents are out takedown attempting him at nearly a 2-to-1 ratio, but Imavov is getting out-controlled at less than a 2-to-1 ratio. Buckley has more takedowns and takedown attempts than his opponents, but he barely out-controls them. Imavov has out-controlled every opponent thus far except for Phil Hawes, who we know has an excellent wrestling pedigree. Imavov also has fantastic front chokes that he uses to defend takedowns and clinch control attempts, and that'll serve him well here should Buckley attempt to wrestle. The strength of schedule I have about even, you guys. Both guys have solid strength of schedule ratings, as we can see over here. So I don't see there being an advantage either way. A 1.5 ratio for Imavov, 1.4 for Buckley. Slightly more experienced competition for Buckley in comparison to Imavov. And in the wins here, better ratio for Buckley, more experienced opponents for Imavov. So it's just very close. So in terms of a summary here, Imavov has the finish stats and durability edge, the striking and grappling advantages, in my opinion, while Buckley has the overall and the UFC experience advantages. He's got a 1-inch reach advantage, as well as the power and moment winning potential in the striking exchanges, as we can see that he's landed 6 knockdowns in 7 fights. While Imavov's, it's not like Imavov isn't powerful and that all the power is one way on Buckley, but on paper, what we've already seen is that Buckley's landing the big shots. So this is going to be a very interesting fight. I do like Nassourdine Imavov to win here. I think he's going to be the better striker. I think he's going to be the more accurate striker. And because he doesn't swing with all of his might, I think he's going to be winning the minutes on the feet. And I just don't see Buckley winning minutes with the grappling here. So the pick is going to be Nassourdine Imavov, and I think he's going to win it probably by decision here. The next fight is going to be Perez Ziam versus Michal Figlak. Very interesting fight. Let me Excellent. Hang on just a second, you guys. Okay. Back back to business. Ziam versus Figlak. So we got Figlak making his debut, and both of these guys are very, very young right now. 25 and 26 years old. So the measurables advantage I'm giving to Fares Ziam. He's 1 year younger, 3 inches taller, and he probably has a reach advantage, but we don't know Figlak's reach yet. The experience goes to Ziam. He's got 8 more pro fights, 35 more minutes in the pro cage, as we could see right there. He's been a pro for over 3 years longer than Figlak. In addition to that, Figlak is making his UFC debut, so Ziam has 4 more UFC level fights than Figlak and almost 50 more minutes in the UFC cage. The finish stats advantage goes to Ziam. The durability advantage goes to Figlak here. Ziam's the better finish rate as a pro, 75% for Fares, only 50% for Figlak. And he's the more diverse finisher with 4 wins by sub and 5 by knockout, while all 4 of Figlak's finish wins come via KO. Figlak's never lost as a pro, so he's never been finished, while Ziam has been finished in 3 of his 4 pro losses. So I would have to give the durability edge to Figlak here. When it comes to the striking, I'm going to call it even, but let's talk about it. Both guys love to strike. Ziam will be taller and longer, while Figlak will explode in with heavy hooks to the body and the head. Ziam will have to deal with the forward pressure and explosion of Figlak, but he has good footwork and lateral movement, and he will need to use both to take advantage of the length advantage he has here. Neither of these guys wrestles offensively much, so I hope we can expect a striking battle here because both guys are really fun to watch on the feet. Ziam's jab is like a piston, and it's not just because it comes out straight and it's accurate and right down the pipe. After he lands it, it comes right back to his chin. It's really pretty to watch Fares Ziam on the feet when he's at distance. If Fares Ziam's opponents at the UFC level decided to just kickbox with him and stand in front of him, he'd probably be undefeated right now. He's very smooth on the feet. He's very accurate when he's standing at range. His jab is just an absolute delight to watch. He's technically perfect. And then not only that, he's also just constantly feinting, constantly downloading information. And when you watch him on the regional scene, it's all that feinting that he uses to set traps and land that big shot that ends the fight. That's when you see Fares Ziam really finishing. Back on the regional scene when his opponents just stand in front of him. Now, the problem with that is that Figlak's short for the division. He's got huge thighs. He's got a very, very big lower half, so he's explosive. He can dart in and out, and he can use that explosiveness that comes from the lower half to jump in with big hooks, big power shots. And Figlak walks forward, and that's going to be a really, really smart thing for him to do in this fight, because if he doesn't walk forward, if he doesn't make Fares Ziam move laterally, walk backwards, he's going to get picked apart here because he's the smaller guy. But he does bring the kind of style that can give Figlak a ton of that can give Ziam a ton of problems here, because if he does walk forward, if he pressures him like Vendramini did in the 3rd round of their fight after he lost the first 2 rounds, getting picked apart, I could really see Figlak even potentially getting a knockout here. And that's what's interesting. When you watch the tape on Figlak, I think the knockouts are going to come for this guy. He's had his last 3 fights have went to decision, but it's not because he hits soft, and it's not because he's not trying to hurt people. It just hasn't gotten the big land, and it can absolutely happen though. But yeah, either way, I think that this is going to be very interesting on the feet. It's going to be the pressure and the power and the forward movement of Figlak against the jab, the lateral movement, and the distance management of Fares Ziam. Now, in the grappling, I'm going to give the advantage to Figlak, and I give him the advantage here because I haven't seen him lose huge chunks of fights on the regional scene due to poor takedown defense and an inability to get off the cage. Even though Ziam has shown 70% takedown defense at the UFC level, he's still being taken down almost 3 times for 15 minutes, and he's allowed over 46% control time against, while only amassing 8% control time for. A striker who spends less than half of his UFC cage time at striking distance it's a bad thing, so that's a red flag for Ziam. I don't know if Figlak will take advantage of Ziam's inability to defend offensive grappling attempts, but it's good to know if you're backing Figlak that the opportunity will be there for him should he not like how it's going on the feet. When it comes to the strength of schedule here, it's going to be Ziam. He's got 4 fights at the UFC level, so he's fought, beaten, and lost to the better brand of competition here. So, in summary, Ziam has the measurables, the experience, the finish stats, and the strength of schedule advantages here, and he's probably the better technical kickboxer by a mile. But I think this is a close fight, and I think the line is a little wide. I can see the argument for betting the plus money side in Ziam here. Figlak's got the durability edge, probably has the grappling edge, and he's probably going to have the power edge if you watch the way that he swings those hooks. But Ziam will be the minute winner on the feet here, and I haven't seen Figlak wrestle a lot on the regional scene. So if Figlak doesn't wrestle and he doesn't pressure on the feet, I mean, I think Ziam probably wins this fight. But I think both of those things, whether Figlak chooses to wrestle or whether he chooses to constantly pressure Ziam and walk forward, if he does one or both of those things, I think you can make this one look easy. I see the argument, like I said, for betting the plus money side in Ziam, but I am going to pick Michal Figlak to win this fight. And I think he might even get it done via knockout, you guys. Next fight, Abu Magomedov versus Dustin Stoltzfus. We got Magomedov is coming in at a minus 255 favorite, while Dustin Stoltzfus is sitting at plus 215. The fight doesn't go to decision at minus 150, so the bookies are saying this one finishes inside the distance about 6 out of 10 times. So the measurables advantage in this fight absolutely goes to Abu Magomedov here, as he's going to be the bigger and longer dude, as he's listed at 2 inches taller and he has a 3-inch reach advantage. Both fighters switch stances. However, Abu is listed as a switch stance fighter, while Dustin is listed as an orthodox fighter. Dustin's 1 year younger, but both fighters are still in their prime here at 30 and 31 years of age. The experience advantage goes to Abu Magomedov overall, but it's obviously going to be Stoltzfus who has the UFC experience advantage here as Magomedov is making his debut. So Abu's got 11 more pro fights and almost 5 more years as a pro fighter, while Dustin has almost 15 more minutes in the pro cage. Dustin has the UFC experience edge as Abu's making his UFC debut in Paris. He has 5 more UFC fights and almost 60 minutes in the UFC cage thus far. For the finish stats and the durability, I'm giving Magomedov the finish stats advantage, and I'm giving Stoltzfus the durability edge here. Abu says the overall finish rate is better for him at 79% in comparison to 50% for Stoltzfus. Abu tends to favor the knockout more, and Dustin tends to get more submissions. Both guys have 4 pro losses, and Dustin has the durability edge as he's been finished in 2 of 4 pro losses, both by submission, so he's never been knocked out, while Abus has been finished in 3 of 4 losses, twice by submission and once by brutal knockout in the PFL. The striking advantage goes to Magomedov here. Abus has some really smooth technical striking. We don't have any numbers on him at the UFC level, but he uses his length well. He mixes up his weapons. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage here. So I do see him being the minute and the moment winner on the feet against Dustin, who's a much better grappler than he is a striker. Dustin has a negative 0.2 significant strike differential, and he has sub 50% striking defense. So he hasn't been much of a minute winner on the feet at distance. And he hasn't faced what I would call a murderer's row of strikers thus far in the UFC. Guys like, Kyle Dawkins, Rodolfo Vieira, Gerald Mearshart, Dwight Grant. These guys are not great strikers and still hasn't had much success in the striking exchanges. I really do believe that Magomedov will probably be the best striker that he's faced thus far by a good margin here. He's usually referred to as a striker in his regional scene footage, and even though he's a very well-rounded fighter, I see Abus using his stance switching, length, distance management, and athleticism to win minutes convincingly in the striking exchanges in this matchup. When it comes to the grappling, I'm going to give that slight edge to Stoltzfus here. Both of these guys are very competent grapplers. Stoltzfus is shown to be able to swim with elite UFC grapplers like Kyle Dawkins, Rodolfo Vieira, Gerald Meerschaert. He made mistakes against Vieira and Meerschaert in the third rounds of those fights and got subbed, but I doubt, Magomedov is on the level of either of those guys when it comes to submission grappling. Stoltzfus' efficiency leaves a bit to be desired, as he's shown sub 50% takedown defense thus far in the UFC on 13 attempts, and he's allowed over 26% control time against, while controlling his opponents just under 23% of the time. Abu is of Dagestani origin. He has an underrated wrestling game, even though he does seem to prefer to keep fights standing. I think Abu should be able to stop the takedown attempts of Stoltzfus, and he even has the potential to get takedowns of his own against Dustin, who has 46% takedown defense. If he doesn't like how things are going on the feet, he could potentially get Dustin down to the ground and win minutes there. If Dustin is able to get takedowns, though, his ground game and top control are pretty good. He's got a slick submission game of his own. He won his last fight before getting on the Dana White Contender Series by Twister. And then he beat Joe Pyfer. He body bags Pyfer out of Renzo Gracie Philly. He picked him up, and Pyfer went to go post his arm while he was getting slammed down and dislocated his elbow. So, Stoltzfus is a good grappler. We don't want to underestimate this guy's ability to not only get fights to the ground, because he's spending 50% of his UFC cage time in grappling positions, in control time positions. So he can get the fight there, and he can use that grappling. But Magomedov's a very good wrestler, so he could potentially, if he can use that wrestling in reverse to keep the fight standing, which is probably where he'll do his best work, he should have a lot of success here. As long as Abu's takedown defense holds up, I do see him comfortably winning this fight. The strength of schedule advantage goes to Stoltzfus. Abu's faced some decent regional scene competition, though. Guys like Sadabu C in PFL, Lewis Taylor, who knocked him out, Chicago stand-up, Ghassan Umalatov, Andreas Stahl, former UFCer, Jessen Ayari, former UFC. However, Stoltzfus being in there with guys like Dawkins, Body Bags, Vieira, Grant, Meerschaert obviously gives him the strength of schedule advantage here. Plus, this is Abu's UFC debut, and he hasn't fought in over 18 months. He pulled out of his last 2 UFC fights, so it's hard to know how he's going to look after all that time. Definitely have to give Dustin the strength of schedule edge here, but I keep in mind that Dustin just fought less than 2 months ago. I give Abu the measurables advantage, the overall experience advantage, the finish stats, and striking advantages, while I give Dustin the UFC experience, the durability edge, the slight grappling edge, and the strength of schedule advantage. I'm going to pick Abu to win by decision by keeping the fight standing and stopping the takedowns of Dustin here. So the next fight is going to be an absolute banger that I can't wait to talk about. Charles Jourdain versus Nathaniel Wood. All right, so first of all, let me see something real quick here. Okay. All right, I think you... All right, beautiful. And let's see. We've got a banner here. It is Charles Jourdain is going to be minus 135. Nathaniel Wood plus 115. Fight doesn't go minus 120. All right. So we've got a measurables advantage here for Charles Jourdain, as he's 3 years younger. He's 3 inches taller. He's a switch stance fighter, while Wood fights orthodox. These guys have the same reach. However, Jourdain is the natural 145er here, while Wood is a career 135er who's moved up to 145. This is his second UFC fight at 145 for Nathaniel Wood. The experience advantage goes to Jourdain here. It's Wood who has more pro fights, as he's got 23 and Jourdain has 19. And Wood also has 4.5 more years as a pro fighter. However, it's Jourdain who has more cage time as a pro, 221 minutes to Wood's 164. And he's got 2 more fights at the UFC level and 30 more minutes in the UFC cage. Jourdain's been the busier fighter who's fought a higher percentage of his career at the UFC level. Jourdain, half of his career at the UFC level. For Nathaniel Wood, it's about 30%. The advantage goes to Jourdain when we talk about finish stats and durability here, as Jourdain has the better finish rates both as a pro, 93% finish rate and 13 wins for Charles Jourdain, and a 78% finish rate for Nathaniel Wood. So both of these guys are great finishers. And in the UFC, they're both finishing as well. 75% for Jourdain, 2 knockouts and a sub, and 60% by Wood, 3 submission wins and 5 UFC wins. Both guys have around twice as many career knockouts as they do submissions. Jourdain has also been more durable as a pro, only being finished in 1 of 5 pro losses, while Wood has been finished in 4 of 5 pro losses. When it comes to the striking, I have it about even here. So let's get these striking stats up. The striking battle here is about volume and minute winning on the Wood side versus the power and moment winning of Charles Jourdain. Wood throws much more volume than his opponents. He's throwing 13 significant strike attempts per minute, while his opponents throw about 9.7. And his significant strike differential is positive 2.13. Jourdain also throws more volume than his opponents, as he throws 11.5 significant strike attempts per minute, and his opponents throw about 10.6. And his significant strike differential is also good at positive 1.54. Both guys are impressive in those metrics, but obviously the edge in volume and minute winning goes to Wood. The power numbers edge Jourdain here, and he's always fought at 145, while Wood is mostly fought at 135 in the UFC. Jourdain has the superior knockdowns per 15 minutes, so he's got much better power. 0.79 per 15 minutes for Jourdain, 0.18 for Wood. And he's got the better knockdowns per total significant strike landed percentage at 0.9% compared to 0.19% for Wood. Wood's been slightly less chinny, but again, at 135 pounds, not 145. The grappling is even, but there's an interesting stat here. Every fight that Jourdain has lost in the UFC, he's been taken down at least twice and lost the control time battle. He's never lost a fight when he's yielded 0 or 1 takedowns. Both guys are pretty efficient in the grappling exchanges. Wood has faced 21 takedown attempts and only attempted 14 himself, yet he's out-controlled his opponents 16% to 7.5%. And Jourdain's only attempted 4 takedowns, and his opponents have attempted 33, as we can see here. Jourdain 4, and his opponents have attempted 33. Yet his opponents have out-controlled him at less than a 2-to-1 ratio, 16% to about 10%. Even though Jourdain has bad takedown defense here at 51.5%, and he's getting taken down 2.1 times per 15 minutes, his get-up game is excellent, as he's very difficult to hold down, and he will attack with submissions off his back and use those to reverse positions or get back to his feet. Both fighters spend less than 27% of their UFC careers in control time positions for or against. So I do expect this to be mostly a stand-up affair. In the strength of schedule, I'm giving a slight edge to Nathaniel Wood here. Very small edge for Wood overall and in his wins. As we can see over here, that Wood got a slightly better ratio and slightly more total fights per opponent than Jourdain does. In the wins, better ratio here for Wood and better total fights. So neither guy has fought amazing strengths of schedule here, but it is Wood who has a slight edge in that particular metric. So Jourdain's got the measurables edge, the experience edge, the finish stats and durability edges, and the power advantage here, while Wood has got the superior minute-winning tools and the stand-up exchanges and a slight strength of schedule advantage here. This is a great fight. I would confidently pick Jourdain to win if he hadn't just fought a few weeks ago and didn't have to make the long trip to Paris, while Wood is just across the English Channel from Paris there. I still like Jourdain to win here. I would be hesitant to lay minus 140, but we talked about it on the prop template. These guys, the 63.77% implied probability of the fight starts round 3 line is good at minus 176. And these guys are starting round 3 combined at the UFC level 75% of the time. So there's a good edge there. And really, these guys start round 3 about 66% of the time, and we're only paying 63. So there's some nice little edges here. Also, shout out once again to my guy, MMA Propaholic, where we were talking about the plus 1,200 submission prop on Jourdain. Jourdain has won half as many fights by submission as he has by knockout. And Nathaniel Wood has been finished twice by submission and twice by knockout. So it's kind of interesting that a guy in Jourdain who has 2 knockout wins in the UFC and 1 submission win, when you look at the lines for knockout and submission, they're completely different. Jourdain by knockout plus 225. Jourdain by submission plus 1,200. So why not take a crack on Jourdain by submission? And why not take a crack on Jourdain by third round submission at plus 5,000, you guys? So I'm going to be tracking that. But I'm going to be tracking 1/10 of a unit on Jourdain by third round submission and potentially 0.2 units or a quarter unit on Jourdain by submission, because I think that those lines should be a lot closer to each other. I think Jourdain by knockout should be like plus 350, plus 400. Jourdain by submission should be plus 600. But instead, they got it at like plus 250 and plus 1,200 here. Like we said when we broke down the fight, if Wood starts getting cracked on the feet, he's going to have to wrestle. And if he winds up wrestling, Charles Jourdain has a really good guillotine. So that's the way I'm looking at this fight. I'm going to pick Charles Jourdain to win this. And I think that he might even win it inside the distance. Minus 140, just a touch wide for me. But I'm going to sprinkle some of these props, like the fight starts round 3. Jourdain by submission. Jourdain by third round submission. Keep those submission prop bets small. Maybe do 1 or 1.5 units on the fight starts round 3. But that's where I'm at right now for this particular fight. The pick is Charles Jourdain to win. We'll say by submission in the third round so that I hit my plus 5,000 bet. The next fight, you guys, is going to be William Gomis going up against Jarno Errens. Stand up all the Jarnos in the world. Jarno Errens, the first ever Jarno to step foot in the UFC cage. He is breaking a barrier for everybody named Jarno in the world right now. Gomis minus 215, Errens plus 185. Fight doesn't go to decision, juiced up at minus 145. So we have no stats for these guys. Both of these guys are making their UFC debut, but I do have notes because I watched a ton of tape on both of these guys so that we could talk about this fight at length and make sure that we know enough about both of these fighters in order to maybe make an educated bet. Now, we still are missing information. Let's see if UFC Stats has blessed us with the reach information on these two gentlemen yet, because they hadn't done it earlier. New matchup, and we still don't have reach numbers. And let's see. Yeah, they didn't put it there either. So hard to know who has the advantage in the measurables, right? I don't have a reach measurement for either guy, but I think I saw that Jarno had a 71-inch reach on the regional scene somewhere, but I don't have anything for Gomis. Both these guys are listed at 5'11", but I think now they're listing Gomis at 6 feet here. So Gomis is 1 inch taller, and Gomis is going to be 2.5 years younger than Errens. Both guys are young. Gomis is a southpaw. Errens is a switch stance fighter. The experience edge goes to Jarno Errens here. As we can see that he's got 5 more pro fights, 35 more minutes in the pro cage, and he's got 6 more months as a pro fighter. The finish stats and durability. The finish stats advantage goes to Gomis with a 70% finish rate in comparison to 61% for Errens. But the durability edge goes to Jarno Errens, as he's only been finished once in 3 losses, while Gomis has been finished once in only 2 losses. Both guys have never been knocked out, only submitted. But Errens is a little more of an equal opportunity finisher, as he has 5 subs and 3 knockouts, while Gomis has 6 knockouts and only 1 sub. The striking advantage, I'm going to give to Jarno Errens here. Errens is going to have the advantage in the technical striking here, as he comes from that traditional Dutch kickboxing background. He definitely seems way more able to win minutes standing than he does on the ground. Gomis has nice striking as well. He throws from odd angles. He can counter. I think Errens should have the slight edge on the feet here if he can keep the fight standing, but that is a big if because we're giving the grappling advantage here to Gomis. And that's because Errens gets taken down very easily, and he gives up a ton of minutes doing nothing off of his back. Gomis wrestles early and often in the tape I've seen, so I can see Gomis coming out here, getting takedowns, easily winning minutes on the ground. In addition to that, Gomis has really nice ground and pound, so his game plan should be simple. Go for takedowns, get them, and win minutes on the ground and try to finish the fight with GNP. Jarno is a solid grappler as well, and he looks damn good when he gets on top. He doesn't wrestle often, and he's very inefficient in the grappling exchanges. So I see Gomis just having a much easier time winning minutes in the grappling exchanges than he would have winning them in the stand-up exchanges because Jarno's very tricky in the stand-up. He's constantly switching stances. He throws with power, and he's got a nice little toolbox of strikes that he mixes up to keep you guessing. And when he's switching stances on top of that, it makes it very difficult. So Gomis is unorthodox. He's long. He comes from strange angles. But the much tighter boxer, the much more predictable boxer with the better, more technical tools is going to be Errens here. The strength of schedule edge I got to give to Gomis here. Jarno has 17 pro fights, and his opponents at the time that he fought them had a combined record of 114 wins and 78 losses. In Gomis's 12 pro fights, so 5 less fights, his opponents had a record of 106 and 79. So 114 and 78 for Jarno, 106 and 79 for Gomis. So Gomis is fighting the more experienced competition, while Jarno's competition has the better win-loss ratio. The common opponent is Hiram Rodriguez here. Jarno fought him twice and won both by decision. And one of those fights I did get to watch, and I thought Jarno lost that fight because he spent more than half the fight on his back and couldn't get up. But he did enough on the feet while he wasn't on the ground in order to win on the judges' scorecards via unanimous decision due to the damage that he did. But I think you could have easily given that fight to Hiram Rodriguez. And Hiram Rodriguez is not good, you guys. Hiram Rodriguez has a bushel full of losses. Let's see here. So we've got Gomis, and we can see that Gomis here shaved Hiram Rodriguez's ass via KO in round number 2. But Hiram Rodriguez is 17 and 27. But look, Hiram, he's 17 and 33 now. He's on a bit of a losing streak. But look at that loss via decision to Jarno. Another loss via decision to Jarno down here somewhere. And then there was he also lost to Gomis. So in that common opponent, Gomis did way better against Hiram Rodriguez than Jarno Errens did. And it's because Jarno's got a big hole in his game. He gets taken down very easily and held down. So the MMA math favors Gomis. I think he's fought the better organizations, but it's close. Errens has had 2 fights scheduled for 5 rounds, while Gomis has only been scheduled for 3 rounds in his entire career. So in summary, I'm going to say that Errens has the experience advantage. He's got the durability, the striking, and the 5-round experience advantages here, while Gomis has the edge in finish stats, grappling, and strength of schedule. I think Gomis can use his offensive wrestling, clinch control, and top control to win the minutes, maybe even get a ground and pound finish here. Very interesting fight to start the main card. And you know, it's surprising that this one's on the main card because, you know, there's a lot better fights, and there's, you know, Imavov Buckley's on the I don't know why it's on the prelims, but it is over this fight where you got 2 guys making their debut. So they must feel pretty good that it's going to be a damn good fight. But I'll tell you one thing. I feel pretty good that it's going to be a boring fight where Gomis takes this guy down easily and just stays on top of him. But, yeah, guys, the pick is going to be Gomis. It's going to be Gomis by decision. And I think he's going to be able to win a ton of minutes on the ground just getting these guys by just getting the takedowns and keeping them there. The next fight that we're going to talk about is John Makdessi, the Bull, going up against Nasrat Haqparast. Haqparast minus 230, Makdessi plus 195. The fight doesn't go to decision at plus 150. And let me just check something real quick here. And Jarno, my guy Jarno is saying if Jarno wins, he's obviously going to be my favorite UFC fighter. Absolutely, man. And let's see. It's Gomis. He's French, I believe. It's Gami? 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 Is it? That's Gomis. Oh, Gomis. Yeah, because it's an S and you don't pronounce the S sometimes. Okay, I think you're right, Glenbot. Yeah, no S in French as the last letter. All right, so William Gomis. Very interesting. Yeah, so Gomis. The pick is Gomis by decision. Long live Jarno, says Papa Chuck. All right, you guys. Yeah, so we got the Bull against Nasrat. Very interesting fight. So this is one where I was like, this is all hack pressed. But man, when you break it down, it's a little bit closer than you might think. Let's do this, right? Measurables, you got a big advantage here for Nasrat, right? He's 10 years younger. He's 2 inches taller. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage, and he's a southpaw. But the experience advantage goes to John Makdessi. He's got 7 more pro fights. He's got almost 140 more minutes in the pro cage. He's got 4 more years as a pro fighter, 9 more fights at the UFC level, over 100 more minutes in the UFC cage. So, nice experience advantage there for Makdessi. The finish stats and durability, I'm giving Hack Press the edge here. Nasrat has the better finish rate overall at 69% compared to 50% for Makdessi. But at the UFC level, it's actually Makdessi who edges out Nasrat at finishing percentage, which is 27% for Makdessi, 20% for Hack Press. Nasrat has been a little more durable on the aggregate, being finished in 40% of his pro losses in comparison to 43% for Makdessi. And Nasrat has been finished in 1 out of 4 UFC losses, while for Makdessi, it's been 3 out of 7 UFC losses inside the distance. So Nasrat gets the edge in both the finish stats and the durability categories here. The striking, I'm giving a slight edge to Hack Press here. He's got the superior power numbers and moment-winning potential. He's landed 4 knockdowns, has Nasrat Haqparast, in 9 UFC fights, while Makdessi has landed 6 knockdowns in 18 UFC fights. The knockdowns per 15 minutes at 0.54 for Nasrat to 0.42 for Makdessi, and the knockdowns per total significant strikes landed 0.69% for Nasrat, 0.51 for Makdessi. Both lean for Haqparast here. Nasrat's also been just a little less chinny, as he's absorbed 0.13 knockdowns per 15 minutes, while it's 0.21 for Makdessi. Makdessi, despite having a 4-inch reach disadvantage and a 2-inch height disadvantage, he loves to walk forward to make up for that lack of reach, and he's done a great job winning minutes in the striking exchanges. He's got a 1.45 positive significant strike differential in comparison to 0.47 for Haqparast. John's more accurate, 51.3% to 45.4% for Haqparast. And he's got the same striking defense number at 66% as Haqparast does, which is just fantastic. It's going to be a close fight on the feet. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch against Ignacio Bahamondes. Watch the adjustments that Makdessi made. Ignacio was switching stances, pumping him out with that jab, and Makdessi said, "You know what? Fuck this. I'm walking forward." And as soon as he did, he clipped him on that chin with the big right hand and changed the trajectory of the fight. And then used the pressure, the jab, the forward motion to outstrike Ignacio Bahamondes, a guy who had a 7.5 reach advantage in that fight. He did it to him. So this is going to be a close fight on the feet, you guys, I think. Clearly, I think that the better moment winner should be Nasrat, but John Makdessi is a pure striker, so there's not an area in this fight where Nasrat's way better than Makdessi. The grappling, there's no point in even talking about the grappling. Neither guy grapples at all. Both have excellent takedown defense. It's 88% for Makdessi, 79% for Haqparast. They've combined for a whopping 1 completed takedown in 27 combined UFC fights. Whoever wins this striking battle wins this fight, plain and simple. These guys are not going to grapple. And the strength of schedule is even. Dude, look at these numbers. They're even, you guys. Haqparast, 1.12 ratio for Makdessi, 1.13 for Haqparast. 10.11 total fights for Makdessi, 9.22 for Haqparast. Look at the wins. Little bit better ratio for Haqparast, little more experienced opponents for Makdessi. The losses, almost identical in ratio, just a little more experience for Makdessi. So these guys have got almost an identical strength of schedule. So Haqparast has a big measurables advantage, 10 years younger, the nice reach advantage. He's got that finish stats and durability edge. He's got the slight striking advantage, in my opinion. But Makdessi's more experienced, and he could be the better minute winner on the feet with the superior significant strike differential. I have the grappling and strength of schedule as even. I'm going to pick Haqparast to win by decision, but I think the money line for Makdessi and even the Makdessi by decision prop both have value, as Makdessi is sitting here at plus 195, and Makdessi by decision plus 300. You know, it's a wide line in my opinion. When you consider that these guys have fought similar, levels of competition, their wins are pretty much the same. Their losses are pretty much the same. They're both pure strikers, and Makdessi, even though he's the smaller guy and he's the shorter guy and he's at a reach disadvantage here, he fights a style which makes up for that lack of reach by closing distance, by walking forward, by pressuring. That's why they call him the bull, because he walks forward, because he charges forward. So, the pick is Haqparast, but I am not touching that money line. I would recommend that you guys don't do it either. And I mean, if this thing keeps going and I can get Makdessi at maybe plus 350 for decision and maybe plus 210 on the money line, I might take a shot at it and just hope for a very close fight and hope that I'm holding that plus money ticket going into that decision. But yeah, like I say, guys, it's a great fight. It's a close fight, but the pick is going to be Haqparast. All right. Let's see. We got Alessio Di Chirico Manzo at minus 112 versus Roman Kopylov at minus 108. Let's get the stats up on the screen here. There we go. Let's get my notes up on the screen. And the measurables advantage goes to Kopylov here, but it's very slight. Roman's 1 year younger, and he's got a 1-inch reach advantage, and he's a southpaw. The experience advantage here goes to Manzo, though, as Manzo's got 9 more fights. He's got 7 more minutes in the pro cage and over 4 more years as a pro fighter. He's got 8 more fights at the UFC level and over 70 more minutes in the UFC cage. So we like that experience advantage for Di Chirico. We also love the finish stats and durability edge for Di Chirico. Even though Kopylov has the better finish rate as a pro, 88% for Kopylov, 77% for Di Chirico. It's Alessio who's the more equal opportunity finisher. And a couple of Kopylov's finishes came in championship rounds at the end of round 4. So Di Chirico is very durable. He's been finishing 2 of 6 UFC losses, once by submission, once by knockout, while Kopylov has been finishing 1 of 2 UFC losses. But yeah, Di Chirico's known for his durability, but he's been the way to hurt him is with the head kick. We got Zach Cummings head kicking him in the last second of the fight in a very close fight. And we also had Abdul Razak Al Hassan absolutely kick his head into the fucking upper deck the last time they fought. So Di Chirico in these southpaw versus orthodox matchups, man, his head kick looks great, but he's also susceptible to it. And sometimes after he throws his right hand, he dips that head to the left and he walks right into a right head kick. So going to be interesting to see how this goes here. But the striking advantage I'm giving to Alessio Di Chirico here. If we look at the numbers, right, at the UFC level thus far, Alessio has the superior significant strike differential at just positive 0.06, but it's negative 1.21 for Kopylov. And the better striking defense at 63% for Di Chirico, only 55.6% for Kopylov. Kopylov alleges edges, Alessio in striking accuracy, 42% to 41%. Knockdowns per 15 minutes at 0.52 to 0.44. And DiChirico has been knocked down twice in the UFC, while Roman has never been knocked down. The grappling advantage goes to DiChirico here. I see Alessio being the guy more likely to attempt takedowns, as he has 24 takedown attempts in 10 fights, and Kopylov has 3 takedown attempts in 2 fights. Alessio is in control time positions for about 20% of his fights, and he wins just over half of them. He's got 11 takedowns, and his opponents only have 4. And Alessio has shown excellent takedown defense, as has Kopylov. They both have 83% takedown defense thus far in their UFC careers. Kopylov has been outcontrolled 22.3% to 1.5% thus far in the UFC. So when he's been taken down, even though it was only twice, he looked awful on the ground. Duraev almost finished him there with ground and pound, and he got subbed by Roberson. So I don't think, I do think that Alessio can win minutes with the wrestling and grappling here if he doesn't like how it's going on the feet. But from what I can tell, this is going to be very close on the feet. So when we look at the strength of schedule too, that's DiChirico. Alessio's fought, beaten, and lost to the better win-loss ratio competition here, and the more experienced fighters. See, DiChirico's ratio sitting about 1.2, while it's 0.7 for Kopylov, and he's fighting the more experienced brand of competition. And the guys that DiChirico are beating are guys with winning records in the UFC in almost 5 total fights, 2.75 wins, 2 losses. And the guys that are beating them also have a positive win-loss ratio, a little bit more experienced fighters with 4.33 wins, 3.83 losses. And Kopylov has actually been losing the guys who have a losing UFC record. So I'm giving Alessio the experience advantage here, the finish stats advantage, the durability advantage for sure, the striking, the grappling, and the strength of schedule advantages. Kopylov has the measurables advantage. He's got that 1 inch of reach. He's a year younger. But I like DiChirico to win this fight, and I'm actually considering betting him here because when I see these guys strike, I see it being very, very close in the striking exchanges. But the one big difference I do see here is that Kopylov is not very good on the ground, and Alessio DiChirico is smart, and he shoots for takedowns when he feels his opponent isn't great on the ground. So even if DiChirico doesn't shoot takedowns here, I think this fight's close. A coin flip. But if DiChirico is shooting 1 or 2 takedown attempts in every round, I think even if he's unsuccessful getting them, just if he gets Roman thinking about those takedowns, it could be enough for him to win enough minutes in the striking here to win a decision should this go to full 3. So this line is close. The bookies have it at about a pick'em, but frankly, DiChirico's closer to Perez than Kopylov is, I think. Difference between Italy and Russia. Either way, Russia's kind of big, so I suppose he could be closer. But either way, look, I like DiChirico here. He's more experienced. He's the better finisher. He's been more durable. He's got comparable striking. He's the better grappler. He's fought the better brand of competition. And the line is very close. So I think I'm going to jump on DiChirico and bet like 1.1 units to win 1 because I see him just having more ways to win this fight. So the pick, you guys, is going to be Alessio DiChirico. The next fight here is our co-main event. Oh, man, what a co-main event it is, you guys. Robert Whittaker, the Reaper, minus 210, going up against the Italian Dream, Marvin Vettori, plus 180. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at plus 180. This is going to be an amazing fight. Can't wait for this one. So let's break it down. Now, I've got a slight measurables edge here for Vettori as he's 3 years younger. As we can see, he's got a 1 inch reach advantage and he's a southpaw. These guys are the same height. When it comes to experience, I'm giving the advantage to Whittaker here. Rob has got 5 more pro fights. He's got 65 more minutes in the pro cage. He's got 4.5 more years as a pro fighter. Rob also has the UFC experience advantage here with 6 more fights and 60 more minutes in the pro cage. The finish stats and durability here, I'm giving the advantage to Whitaker in the finish stats, and I'm giving the advantage to Vettori for the durability. Rob has the same finish rate as a pro in comparison to Vettori, 61% for both of them. But Rob's a more equal opportunity finisher here with 9 knockouts and 5 submissions, while Marvin has 9 submissions and only 2 knockouts. The durability advantage here obviously goes to Vettori, as he's never been finished in his pro career. He's never even been knocked down at the UFC level, and that's in 12 UFC fights, 2 of them against Israel Adesanya, and almost 700 significant strikes absorbed. He's never been knocked out. He's never been knocked down. He's never been finished. So Marvin Vettori is one of the most durable men on the planet Earth. The striking advantage goes to Robert Whitaker here. Let's see. You can see the stats here, you guys. I like Whitaker's minute and moment winning potential in the striking exchanges of this fight. Rob has the superior significant strike differential. It's 1.23 in comparison to 0.87 for Vettori. So they're both winning minutes on the feet. It's just that Rob's doing it a little bit better than Vettori is. Rob also has the better power numbers, as he's got 5 UFC knockouts, and Marvin has 0 UFC knockouts. Rob's got 10 knockdowns in the UFC, while Vettori only has 1. And Rob averages 0.58 knockdowns per 15 minutes in comparison to only 0.08 for Marvin. Both guys have striking defenses right around 60%, but Rob's is just a tick better. And Rob has been knocked down 4 times at the UFC level, and he suffered 2 knockout losses. The grappling advantage I'm going to give to Vettori, as Marvin's done a better job of using the wrestling and grappling exchanges to win minutes at the UFC level. Marvin gets more takedowns per 15 minutes at 2.04 compared to 0.81 for Rob. He gets his takedowns at a better percentage. We can see here 45% offensive wrestling for Vettori, which is excellent, to 36% for Whitaker, which is also very good. He outcontrols his opponents at about a 4-to-1 ratio here, 27% for, 6.65% against for Vettori, while Whitaker is not even outcontrolling his opponents at a 2-to-1 ratio here, 11.25% before, about 6.5% allowed. Both guys have yielded less than 7% control time against in their UFC careers, and Whitaker has almost 84% takedown defense. So even though Marvin is more likely to win minutes in the grappling, it's hard to see him having too much upside in that area due to the fact that Whitaker's just doing an excellent job of not losing minutes on the ground. Now, Vettori's doing a much better job of winning minutes on the ground than his opponents are. So, Vettori, in order to be successful here, because he's the less powerful striker, because he's the less efficient striker, will either have to land a big shot, which is kind of unlikely because he's not landing with big power, or he's going to have to mix in that wrestling in order to get Robert thinking about it. Because if Robert gets too comfortable on the feet, I think we're going to see that lazy jab followed up by the head kick combination that Whitaker throws so beautifully, that's so powerful, it's so dangerous. And I think if he lands one of those, he can easily win that round. So Vettori's going to have to mix in the wrestling here in order to be successful, in order to get Robert thinking about it, in order to not let Robert get too comfortable on the feet so that he can get into that groove, that he can find his distance, and that he can put his combinations together on Marvin while continuously moving his feet and being defensively responsible, as both of these guys have been over their UFC careers. The strength of schedule edge, I'm also giving to Vettori here. So let's look at the numbers. It's Vettori who has the better win-loss ratio competition at every level, while Rob has fought the more experienced competition at every level. So you see Vettori at 2.36 ratio overall, 1.85 for Whitaker, but Whitaker's got 12.67 total fights, and it's 10.08 for Vettori. So the more experienced competition for Whitaker, the better win-loss ratio competition for Vettori. And then when you look at the wins, better ratio for Vettori, more experienced competition for Whitaker. In the losses, better ratio for Vettori, more experienced competition for Whitaker. So I'm giving Vettori the edge because he's fighting the guys with the better win-loss records, but the slightly better, the more experienced competition is what Whitaker has fought. So Whitaker has the pro and UFC experience advantages. He's got the slightly superior finish rate. He's got the striking advantage, and he's fought the more experienced UFC competition. Vettori has the measurables advantage, the durability advantage, and the grappling advantage. And he's fought the better win-loss ratio competition at the UFC level. I think Whitaker does enough winning in the striking exchanges and stops enough takedown attempts to win a decision here. I do have Robert Whitaker by decision as the third leg in my greasy 4-leg parlay. So I am picking Robert Whitaker to win this fight by decision, but I'm not laying that money line on him. I do think that this fight does go the full 3 rounds, but that one is pretty juiced right now, as we can see on the prop template. Whitaker-Vettori fight goes to decision is all the way up at -220. And even though that's 23.67% overpriced when we compare the fight goes metric for the middleweight division to what we're actually paying for it. So what's telling us is the fight goes to decision about 45% of the time at the middleweight division, but here we're paying 68% of the time. But we can see that when we compare these fighters' fight goes, that they're going to decision 70% of the time. So this is still only underpriced by 1.25% when we compare it to Whitaker's and Vettori's going the distance ratio. And we have to be aware too that Whitaker and Vettori have went 5 rounds more than once. So the fight goes at -220. Could be a parlay piece. I think it hits, but you are overpaying when you compare it to where the benchmark is for the division. But yeah, you guys, it's Whitaker by decision is the pick. And that brings us to the main event of the evening. We got Ciryl Gane Bongamin at -600 going up against Tai Tuivasa +400. Fight doesn't go to decision, -270. So we've got Tai Tuivasa 3 years younger, but it's Gane who's the bigger dude, 2 inches taller and a 6-inch reach advantage. But Tai is the southpaw fighter. Did I write up this fight? I don't think I did. Yeah. Okay. So I've got Ciryl Gane with more cage time as a pro, about 50 more minutes of cage time, but it's Tai Tuivasa who's actually got 6 more fights, because Tai Tuivasa's average fight time is only 5.47 minutes and Gane's is 13.36. And, so Tai's got 6 more fights. He's got 6 more years as a pro. He's got 3 more UFC level fights. But Ciryl Gane, because he's a guy who takes his time, he's not much of a finisher. He's got way more time in the pro cage in comparison to Tai Tuivasa. As finishers, it's Tuivasa who's the better finisher, but Tuivasa's also been finished in 2 of his 3 losses, but a 93% finish rate, 13 of 14 wins coming inside the distance for Tai Tuivasa, every single one of them by knockout, while Gane has finished 7 of his 10 pro wins and 4 of his 7 UFC wins. And he's got just as many UFC knockouts as he does submissions. And he's got slightly more knockouts overall than he does submissions as a pro. And he's never been finished in his only loss. When it comes to the striking, it's going to be the minute winning, the distance management, the kickboxing of Ciryl Gane compared to the power of Tai Tuivasa here, the low leg kicks of Tai Tuivasa. Both of these guys land more significant strikes than they absorb. And for Tuivasa, being the power puncher that he is, for him landing 1 more significant strike per minute than he absorbs is very impressive for a guy that brings as much power as he does. As we can see that he has landed 7 knockdowns in 11 UFC fights, and he's landing a knockdown in over 2% of the significant strikes that he lands, and he's averaging 1.47 knockdowns per 15 minutes in comparison to only 0.23 for Gane. So while Gane's more accurate, way more defensively responsible, and lands more than twice as many significant strikes per minute than he absorbs, we have to be aware that Tai Tuivasa can change the trajectory of the fight with 1 big shot. So it's going to be the minute winning and the athleticism of Gane versus the power and the 1 shot, the one hitter quitter of Tai Tuivasa. And potentially, if he can land those low leg kicks, that could be a problem, because if he lands those low leg kicks, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Ciryl Gane to use his athleticism, his speed, his lateral movement defensively to keep him out of trouble, to keep him out of Tuivasa's range here. In terms of the grappling, yeah, it's going to be Gane who's more likely to grapple here. But I do see that, a lot of people think that Gane's, like a good submission grappler. And I mean, look, guys, he's a kickboxer with 4 years of experience as a mixed martial artist. He's not a wrestler. He's not a submission grappler. Getting a leg lock against Dante O'Mays is no big deal. He's getting his takedowns at a 22% rate. That's not good. That's very bad. He's controlling his opponents less than 10% of his UFC cage time. That's about 12 minutes of control time on 27 takedown attempts. So he's not really a guy that wins minutes with the grappling. Now, Tuivasa is only showing 50% takedown defense, and his opponents aren't trying to take him down that much, but that is one way to win minutes against Tai here. But this is a 5-round fight, and I don't think Cyril needs to even think about grappling until he sees that maybe the stand-up isn't working for him, but I think the stand-up will work for him. He's way faster than Tai. He's got a huge reach advantage here. He's way more athletic than Tai. He manages distance much better than Tai. He's got way better conditioning than Tai Tuivasa. I guess he could wrestle if he wanted to, but I just don't think he's even going to need to. I'm picking Cyril Gane to win this fight. Obviously, when we look at the strength of schedule numbers here, Cyril Gane has got much better strength of schedule. The ratio much better overall, much better in his wins, and much better in his losses. And then if we look at the total fights, we see that while Tuivasa is fighting the more experienced competition, it's only slightly more experienced than Gane. So Gane's the better striker. Gane's got better strength of schedule. Gane's got the grappling advantage here. Gane's got the total time in the cage, the measurables advantage here. What Tai has is the power. What he has is the overall experience edge. And just the one hitter quitter, the moment winning potential here is Tai Tuivasa. And if he lands a few calf kicks, that'll make it a lot easier for him to find Cyril Gane later on in the fight. But those are all big ifs. I think Cyril Gane gets the job done. But the one thing that I've been saying all week is that Cyril Gane's fight IQ is excellent. He's not going to put himself into bad situations in order to make this fight exciting. He's fine with fighting boring as long as it means he doesn't wind up in the hospital after the fight. So I think Cyril Gane's going to take his time. I think he's going to use every inch of that big cage that they're going to be in order to frustrate Tai, to tire Tai, and to make Tai just, get frustrated trying to find him, and then eventually maybe land a big body shot later on in the fight, or maybe just cruise to an easy 50-45 decision win here. But my track bet on this fight is Cyril Gane to win in rounds 4, 5, or by decision, plus 140 on FanDuel Sportsbook, and I'm picking Cyril Gane to win by 4th round knockout. We did it, you guys. We broke down all 12 fights on this card. We're almost 2 hours in. Let me see something here. We've got 64 of you guys hanging out live with me here, and we go into the let's see here, shoey time if Tai KOs him. That's for sure, man. Go Flamingo saying double knockout. I'd love some odds on that. Glenbot saying club and sub when Tai gasses out in the 3rd. I could see a 3rd round finish as well. Tai by Gane knocking out the ref. This is going to be a great main event, man. I can't wait for it. But I appreciate all you guys. We got Lombard Greatest saying you are the man. I appreciate you. We got my guy Kiwi saying appreciate it. I appreciate you, Kiwi. Ring a ding ding. We got a donation. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all you guys for hanging out. It's always great to be able to talk over the fights with you guys. Let's go over my track bets thus far. Oh, and Prince of Mischief saying Tai KO is plus 700. That's worth a sprinkle, in my opinion, because that's how he wins this fight. He's not going to win minutes here. He's not going to take down Cyril Gane. I would be really surprised, as Tai Tuivasa has landed exactly 0 takedowns in his UFC career. So I really do think that, Gane should be the minute winner here, and that maybe, you take Tuivasa to win by knockout, and because it's his best path to win this fight. And at plus 700, it's probably worth a sprinkle. But yeah, so let's get up on the banner here. We've got these are the UFC Paris track bets so far, you guys. The first one unit on the curtain jerker, Ailin Perez plus 275. Just a really wide line. I think the fight's going to be a lot closer than that. And I think there's a lot of places where Ailin Perez can find places to comfortably win minutes in this fight. So at plus 275, it's a super wide line. And I love betting women's underdogs at plus 250 or better with the variance that we see in these fights. I've also got 1 unit on the Cyril Gane round 4, 5, or by decision at plus 140. I've got 1/8 of a unit on Gabriel Miranda to win by first round submission at plus 1600 on Bet Online, just a sprinkle there. And then the probability parlay that we gave out, me and Brady gave out on the MMA Engine YouTube channel last night is going to be the Benoit Saint-Denis Miranda fight doesn't go to decision, parlayed with the Jourdain Wood fight starts round 3. That comes out to plus 129 for 1 unit. I'm also considering doing the Alessio Di Chirico money line for 1.1 units to win 1. I'm also considering a quarter unit on Charles Jourdain to win by submission, and I'm considering 1/10 of a unit on Charles Jourdain to win by third round submission at plus 5,000. Wouldn't you love to see him snatch up that guillotine in the third round and ship that bag to the boys? That would be awesome. But you guys, those are the track bets. We've broken down all 12 fights. We're almost 2 hours here, almost midnight on a Tuesday here in Chicago. That means we have one more order of business left. It's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. You guys, what are we going to do? Who's it going to be this week? We've got some good options. We've got some wide lines. Stephanie Egger, wide line. Taha could potentially get a win here. Saint-Denis could have a very dominant performance over the short notice Gabriel Miranda, who's fighting shit competition on the regional scene. Imavov versus Buckley is a great fight. Ziam Figlak, Stoltzfus Magomedov. We got the French-Canadian in Jourdain. We got Gomis Errens, Makdessi Perez, Di Chirico Kopolov, Whitaker Vittori, Gane Tuivasa. What are you guys thinking? We got Gogo Flamingo saying tie by suffocation, takes north-south position and lays his juicy belly over Gane's face. That could work. That could work. That was like when Fat Collier, when he took down Chase Sherman and then he got on top of him, and then all that fat just took the shape of Chase and it just kind of drowned him. And you get that kind of fat laying over your face, you're gonna panic. You're gonna panic tap. That could absolutely happen, man. We got Justin saying ass shaver Gomi. I can't see a total ass shaver, maybe a semi-shave. Yeah, maybe. Prince of Mischief was saying Magomedov. Glinbot saying still can't bet the Saint-Denis fight at all. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I think there's good props on that one, and I've got a little bit on both sides, man. I hedged with Miranda's best win condition, which is the first round sub. But my guy Jesse Galanti saying love the over in the Buckley Imavov fight. The over 1.5 was another bet that the prop template actually loved. Let's look at that one. I'm glad you brought that up because for Imavov Buckley, when we look at the over 1.5 at minus 160, we're getting a 1.7% break, an 11.2% break, and a 9.5% break. One of those trifecta bets where all three metrics, when we look at the over 1.5 rate for the division, the over 1.5 rate for both fighters involved, and how the division goes over 1.5. All three of those metrics, when compared to the implied probability of the line or to the metric for the division, are advantages. So the over 1.5 is a great bet, Jesse Galanti. And Glinbot saying, see you in the chat somewhere, mate. Daz, Nigel, all the legends here, appreciate you. Well, there is one guy who was correct, and it was Prince of Mischief 22225, who absolutely picked it right. He picked Abusupiyan Magomedov to shave the ass of Dustin Stoltzfus. I don't really see a way for Dustin to win this fight. This has been a long time coming for Abus. This should have happened a long time ago. Him being in the UFC, this is his time to shine. He's about the same age, a lot more experience. He's the much better striker, and as long as Stoltzfus isn't picking this guy up and slamming him down, I really don't see Stoltzfus winning minutes in this fight. And I don't like Stoltzfus' striking. I don't think it's UFC level. I think he gets hit entirely too much. And Magomedov, I think, will probably wind up knocking him out in the second round here. We did it, you guys. 12 fights. Gave you Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Gave you some nice track bets that we've already done here. I appreciate all 60 of you guys for hanging out with us here on a Tuesday night. Check me out tomorrow on Pub Sports Radio, 6 o'clock Central Time for the DFS show with DFS by the Numbers, with Gordo Gambles, and with Monk Maddox. And then you can check me out tomorrow night right here on Uncle Weezy's YouTube channel, 10:30 Central Time, after the Club and Sub podcast for Ask Weezy, where I'll answer all your questions relating to UFC Paris, to my drink recipes, to what kind of beer I like, and to some food recipes as well. Whatever it is that you guys want to benefit from your Uncle Weezy's wisdom, you just feel free to show up and ask those questions, and I'll do my best to answer them for you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. God bless each and every one of you, and let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Paris. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Thank you.